Oh, mercy. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Excuse the background noise outside, animals barking. I'd like to be very candid during this live stream. I always preach about what you say on social media can possibly have an effect on you some way or the other. And I'm just going to say this. I give my opinion on this network pertaining to people. I may say some things that are not in the best light of that person, but that is my opinion. Some things need to be said. And if it ever comes a day that I am no longer on this network to give my opinion, I will still be the same Angela, and I will still give my opinion wherever I am on this, in this universe. There are always guidelines on social media about what you can say and can't say. Okay? But I'm going to say this to the high-ups. It is okay for murderers to walk free in some of our opinions. It is okay for them to threaten to do harm to their children. But it's not okay for the queen to say certain things on the network. And I get it. Some may think, well, it's not good to belittle people, threaten people, so on and so forth. Well, it's not okay to kill a kid, murder a kid, abuse children and adults as well. And I find it very interesting as of late, and I've noticed it since I've been on this network talking about children, because those are the stories I get the most flack on from outsiders, that some adults too now, that there are different rules of what you can say and can't say and what's acceptable on this platform, in this box. But I get it. So I'm going to own my part in anything I've said that may not have been suitable to others, pertaining to my opinion in the Wells case, in any other case. And I'm also going to say this to a certain female, because I got to be very careful now what I say, just because I don't want any problems. If somebody you know has been arrested for murder, why would you have a problem with someone making a video that they've been arrested? I'm confused. You see, it's easy to say, I know this person. I know him as a kid, but he was a kid. He's a grown-up now. So you're speaking of him really in past tense, an alternate universe, because who we were as children is not who we are today. So what I did at 5 and 8 and 12 is not what I'm doing at 52. So I'm going to address this certain person. I am never going to change. Let me make that clear to you. Every flaw I got from the top of my head to the bottom of my damn big toe, that is queen. And I stand on anything I say off my tongue. And if I want to recant, apologize, I surely will. But the information as of late pertaining to a certain Mr. Duprice is from the news and from a young man who posted to social media of his encounter with Mr. Duprice as a child. So as I said to this person in my video about Mr. Duprice, Miss Warfield, wherever you are, you have a problem with anything the queen has to say, I say you take it up with that guy who says he was bullied by Mr. Duprice, and you can't take it up with the dead girl because she's dead. How about that? See, I find it strange and barbaric Because like I said, you get complaints about so many things, and I'm just addressing everything in general. I'm just addressing everything in general because I know God let everything happen here recently for a reason. Because I always talk about accountability on social media. So I have to stand account for anything I've said in my commentary in the past 24 hours. Number one, you cannot get angry because somebody you like or know or related to has been arrested for murder. If a person gave an account that they saw that person and another person, which is the dead person, arguing, and then they return back to the house and that person is dead, or who you mad at? You take it up with that eyewitness. You take it up with Knoxville Police Department because they are investigating the case. And as of late, I have not heard that Mr. DePriest has been released from custody. So I say you take your complaints up to Knoxville Penal Farm. Maloneyville Road, we already know where it is. Go there. Put your name on the itinerary and go talk to him if you are indeed a relative, friend, or mother. You know, Queen does her homework. Because what I always say, when people get in the chat and the comment sections and they start talking about things personal, such as, when they were a little boy, they was a good kid, that lets me know them 9 times out of 10 you're a relative or the mother. And I look at it like this. I stand on everything that I've said. The commentary from the white man, I said allegedly. The content pertaining to the news, well, that's from the news and the investigators. And as far as the Summer Wells case, I think it's interesting that a person can go on live streams and talk about going into a home to take children out of the house, but the platform is too concerned about what the Queen has to say. We're going to leave it right there. Summer Wells. Missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee. Still 2.5 years later. No arrests, no information, and no reward fund for this baby girl. Let's read this information. This content was uploaded 11 months ago. Well, no, wait 1 second. It's been jumped off. Hold on a minute, you guys. Jeez, my content it jumped off. Sorry about that. This was 11 months ago. WJHL is the source if you need verification or have a problem with the information. My goodness. The Hawkins County Chancery Court has declared a judgment in the fate of the Summer Wells Reward Fund. The fund, which totals $40,365.73, was created and managed by the Church Hill Rescue Squad in 2021 after then 5-year-old Summer Wells was reported missing from her home in the Beach Creek community. The fund was created in an effort to provide a reward in exchange for information that led to the discovery of Summer. Initially, the fund was set to expire in 6 months after it was created, at which time the funds would be donated to the Child Advocacy Center of the 3rd Judicial District if Summer had not been found. That term was later extended by an additional 6 months. In June of 2022, the rescue squad filed a lawsuit asking the court to determine who would receive the funds. The lawsuit listed Summer's parents, Candace Bly and Donna Wells, as defendants, as well as the Children's Advocacy Center and one other individual. Summer's parents were later dropped as defendants, and a spokesperson for the family said in a statement that they wish to remain separate from the fund. Court documents state that notice was sent to all defendants in the lawsuit along with a summons. According to a judgment from the court, the Children's Advocacy Center was the only defendant to file an answer requesting to receive the funds. The court found that due to the center's response and the rescue squad's lack of objection, the Children's Advocacy Center of the 3rd Judicial District will be the sole beneficiary of the Summer Wells Reward Fund. The Advocacy Center, which aids abused children in Tennessee, will receive the full $40,365.73. Court documents also state that all donors and interested parties, whether they have made themselves known or not, are barred from prosecuting or taking any action against the Churchill Rescue Squad in dispute of the funds. In addition, the court costs of handling the case will be taxed from the reward fund and deducted from the proceeds to be paid. The remaining balance in the reward fund will be donated to the Advocacy Center in the form of a check made out by the rescue squad. The Amber Alert for the summer remains active. February 4th marked her 7th birthday. WJHL is the source. So the money went to this advocacy program entity, Children's Advocacy Center for the 3rd Judicial District. I believe 2 entities took back their pledges. So that's why the fund is so low at the $40,000. And then naturally, money would have been deducted from that $40,000 because there were court costs for handling the case. And it says will be taxed from the reward fund. So see, everything depends on your interpretation. Some people might have been disgusted because they feel like, well, I was donating money to help bring a solution or information to the case, number one. Number two, the parents took themselves off of the defendant list, as with, I guess, the people suing. Then some people will question, why was that? Then there were no objections from the rescue squad as far as letting the Advocacy Center get the money. They probably did that because they were tired at that point. And naturally, this went on and on and on. There was a, process in the case of, the obvious. There's no information about the little girl. Then one could say there was meddling that may have also caused this ruckus to get this to the courts, because there was accusations from abroad that there was fraud of the people who donated the money to a YouTuber. I don't make any claims about anything because, as I said, you have to be just so careful what you say up here. In the end, there's no reward fund for someone else. How about that? So whatever begat whatever. There's no reward fund for the little girl. And that's a problem. Because sadly, some people only talk if there's money involved. And nobody should just wait to see if there's going to be money by Crime Stoppers or organization in order to tell the truth. You can always give a tip and don't even give your name, your location, who you are. It's up to the investigators to decide if your tip is relevant or not. Okay? We also find that people will go into the police station and give information. And later we hear in true crime stories that nothing ever came from their tip, but possibly their tip was relevant. See, it all depends on who's investigating the crime and what information they have and how they want to lead the investigation. But as it stands, that money is now null and void. Entities took back their money. The rest of the money went to this advocacy center, and naturally court costs were deducted. Do not know what the amount of the deduction was. But some people might have a problem with that. Then some might say, well, it's still going to a good cause, but in the end, it's about your money and where you thought your money was going. So if you thought your money was going to a fund for someone else, you have every right to want that money to go there. See, everything is still about principle. I donated my money because I thought it was for Summer Wells to get information about this little girl. Not that I am downing the money later going to the Advocacy Center, but that was my initial intention in donating the money. It's sad, this entire case, but this is what I keep saying to you all about true crime. It brings out the worst in people because naturally the worst got the person gone, got the person deceased, number one. Then you've got your clout chasers jumping on board, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard. spinning a narrative, orchestrating the narrative, plural, of the case. Then in this case, you get no information from law enforcement. It's daunting and it's pathetic. And I get it. It's still an open investigation, still an active Amber Alert. But my goodness, what is the end all to it? Because there has to be an end all to this case. At some point, something needs to be remedied. Because this will be a tragedy. We wake up, it's June again, 24, and there's still no update pertaining to the disappearance of this child and nothing else. It's so sad. I mean, it's just sad and pathetic. And you're entitled to believe what you want about the Summer Wells case, but it's pathetic. Because in the end, we shouldn't even be talking about the disappearance of a child, period. And nor should we be hearing such buffoonery on social media pertaining to the bio donors of this child. Because in the end, as I said, if you're concerned about the disappearance of your child, there's a way that you should act and behave. And that's my opinion. See, you have enablers out here who enable foolishness. This is the reason why a lot is never done in cases pertaining to children, especially when we're dealing with CPS, allegations of child abuse. Sometimes things just get pushed under the rug. I do not know what happened with this case as far as CPS and allegations of abuse. I just know what has been relayed to me. Nobody's been arrested, and no remains have been recovered, and no child has surfaced alive. That's what I know. And in the end, that's all you have to go on, because you are only depending on the information given to you by law enforcement and the government. TBI. So what can you do? Nothing. And then there's the hee-haw circus of it all. The people related to the victim giving their renditions of her when she was alive and this and that. And that means nothing to me, because those people are irrelevant to me. Because they don't have any respect for the living, so they definitely wouldn't have any respect for the dead. Because they don't care. And I do find it interesting that their names were redacted as defendants. Why is that? Mr. and Mrs. Wells, why would you want to be separate from the fund? Because at one time you couldn't wait to tell the world that you wanted the fund to exist, to remain. But then maybe you're worried about what people would say. Because people have made so much content about you all and your disposition after June 15th. Well, we better separate ourselves because they think this, and this about us. Well, if you kept your mouth closed, we wouldn't have an opinion of you so readily available to spew our opinion. And naturally, people will give their opinion about whatever. But when you act a donkey's ass on social media, you give people a reason to comment. It is what it is. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. So now there is no reward fund for this girl child. Searches were done for the said child back in the Beach Creek community to no avail. I still believe in my heart that the reasons that they searched back in that area is because they believe that that is where the child is or was at that time. So I'd like to know what information led them to continue to search back there in Beach Creek. Phone pings, eyewitness testimony, GPS. What? Hold on one second, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is just daunting. Talking about her and talking about the buffoonery of a missing child. And just the things that I've noticed, as I said, talking about true crime, it just seems that people are just absolutely ignorant. Because as I said, you have enablers, people who just don't want the truth to be revealed, don't want anybody saying anything about anything. Well, I always say, let the truth reveal itself. You can't tell people what to say. You can't tell people how to feel about a situation. And I understand, things can get out of control with stalking, bullying, this, that, and the other. You say anything derogatory, that's considered bullying, cyberbullying. Oh, mercy, how we heard it. But then I had to ask myself about people who involve themselves in the cases and they spew lies and venom in a storyline. How's that different than somebody giving a negative opinion of a person and persons? It's the same. Will somebody start a reward fund again for Miss Summer Wells? Will we get an update from TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Department pertaining to this girl child? Kind of curious to the people who got their money returned to them. Very interesting. What were their reasons for wanting their money back? Was it the hoopla that played out here on YouTube? Or was it just, I don't know. Because as I said, you're entitled to believe what you want. But my understanding that meddling from abroad is what got questions brought up about the people who donated. And allegedly that's what started this investigation into the reward money. But naturally, the fund itself went up for review, every few months. So that would have transpired whether somebody complained or not. That's just the bylaws of the reward fund itself. But it doesn't help when people meddle and make accusations of fraud. That's something Rescue Squad would not want to be a party of and won't even be accused of, naturally. It's very sad to me. Very sad to me. It's a very sad situation. Because many people honestly were trying to help by donating to the reward fund. And it's just a terrible situation that the reward fund doesn't stand. And I think it's sad. And as I said before, I think it's even more pathetic if a person only wants to get money to give information. You should want to give information because it's the noble thing to do. Let me make that clear. You shouldn't want money to give information about a missing kid. Hell, anybody. They're an adult. But this goes to show you what is out here walking around us. Enablers, greedy people, selfish people. And we all entitled to be selfish at some point. But when it comes to children, you need to act like you have some common sense about yourself. Because it shouldn't take something to happen to you or your family for you to then put the big boy pants on and shoes on that foot to say, okay, now I get it. You should have empathy in you regardless. Regardless. That's my commentary, everybody. Gypsy Rose. 2-part live stream. Thank you for joining me. There's information that's been relayed to the documentary pertaining to Gypsy Rose. Information about the husband, the guy who helped, who exacted the murder of her mother, Mr. Godejohn, somebody that she was engaged to before. Mr. Ken hadn't heard that. her going to TikTok, giving her commentary about the sex of Mr. Ryan, which is, to me, is just ridiculous. There's just something wrong, period. I do not, how can I word this? I do believe the child was abused. Gypsy Rose. As a child, she was abused. And I suspect her to do things that would not be acceptable after the fact, such as right now, because she doesn't know anything. She knows better to some degree, but that has nothing to do with how you navigate. Because naturally, the allegations of her shooting at the mother, which I hadn't heard that up until recently, that was expected. I said that. I said it. I could see this woman trying to kill her daughter if she even thought that she would go tell authorities the truth and or attempt to leave. Well, she's grown now, done her time in prison, free. But will it work out between she and Mr. Ryan? One commentary said he was a special ed teacher. The commentary I'm about to bring you says he's a social studies teacher. I'm just going to say this because I'm not here to argue about nothing pertaining to these people I talk about. I don't give a damn what subject he teaches. Let's just make that clear. Teaching is teaching. He's a teacher. How will this information fare with the students' parents and the school district he works for, so on and so forth? Because people watch social media. So when you have public platforms such as the news, and they air content of what somebody said or did on TikTok, Facebook, people get wind of that. This is why you have to be careful as a teacher, public figure, this and that, because people watch everything, they repeat everything. And I will agree. Mr. Ryan, I don't think you've thought this out thoroughly, your involvement with this female. I'm assuming you were a teacher when you reached out to her in prison. What were you thinking? You all are going to hear some information that you probably haven't heard pertaining to Gypsy Rose and Mr. Ryan. I'm going to play you that content. One moment, please. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Vault Excel.
But I'm not free from the trauma. After serving 8 years in prison, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a convicted murderer turned social media sensation, is finally telling it all. From sexual abuse allegations to a prescription pill addiction, a prior murder attempt, and even a voodoo hex with a supposed curse. Here's all the bombshell revelations we've learned since Gypsy Rose's release and what her 6-part series left out.
Hardest thing was to watch everyone tell my story and get it wrong and speculate and everything. But now I'm free. I have it's my turn now.
Yeah. Gypsy pleaded guilty to second-degree murder back in 2016 in connection to the death of her mother, Claudine Dee Blanchard. This came after Gypsy's alleged years of abuse, all at the hands of her mother.
Because she controlled every aspect of my life.
Gypsy was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but was granted parole before that decade-long mark. She was released from Missouri's Chillicothe Correctional Center on December 28, having served 8 years behind bars. Since then, she's become something of a social media icon, amassing millions of followers on multiple platforms.
Hey everyone, this is Gypsy. I'm finally free.
Followers get snippets of Gypsy's life through her own personal videos, but with the release of her newest series, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, they're given an in-depth account from Gypsy herself.
After a lifetime of silence, I finally get to use my voice and share my story and speak my truth.
Throughout the docuseries, Gypsy discusses her relationships with her mother, saying, quote, "She never wanted me to find love or be happy." Initially, after her mother's murder, Gypsy says she didn't have any remorse. In fact, it wasn't until several years into her prison sentence that Gypsy began missing Dee Dee at all.
Gypsy Blanchard is the only victim Munchausen syndrome by proxy has killed their mother.
Gypsy's case shed light on the terms Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy. After years of living with what she believed were real illnesses, Gypsy realized she was perfectly healthy. Her sickness was a false narrative, all created by her mother.
Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy are kind of antiquated names for what psychologists call a conversion disorder. Essentially, when we take Munchausen's, the person believes themselves to have some kind of illness. And so they'll do things to make themselves ill in a way to get attention or to get accolades or to get something, right? There's some external source. Munchausen's by proxy is when the individual puts that sickness, puts that illness on someone else. That's the by proxy part. So it's not Gypsy that has Munchausen's. It's her mother that has Munchausen's, right? That's the conversion disorder. And so when it's by proxy, though, the individual doesn't know any better. They don't know that they're not sick, or maybe as they grow up, they end up realizing that they're not. But the caregiver has purposefully done things to make them sick, has injured the person purposefully to make them sick in order to get the attention that they crave.
According to Gypsy's new series, she got into a motorcycle crash with her grandfather when she was about 5. She had a few scrapes and bruises, but her mother took it to the next level, forcing Gypsy to use a leg brace and later a wheelchair. That was just the beginning.
Why were you in a wheelchair in June of 2015?
Because my mother forced me to be in one.
Do you know why you were forced to be in a wheelchair?
No, sir, she just forced me to be in one.
And how long had you been in a wheelchair as of June of 2015?
Since probably I was about 8 years old.
According to testimony from Gypsy herself, her mother used medications to create symptoms in her daughter. Then she told others that Gypsy suffered from multiple illnesses, including cancer, muscular dystrophy, and paralysis. Dee Dee maintained Gypsy had the capacity of a 7-year-old, forcing her daughter to use a wheelchair for more than a decade.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair in June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes,
When was that?
I always knew that I didn't need the wheelchair
And how did you know that?
because I could walk.
Did you and your mother obtain any kind of advantage by you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
What kind of advantage did you obtain?
Financial, attention, charity.
Financially need money.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain money as a result of you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How did that work out?
Let's go back there.
there for more than a decade.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair and June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes,
When was that?
I always knew that I didn't need the wheelchair
And how did you know that?
because I could walk.
Did you and your mother obtain any kind of advantage by you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
What kind of advantage did you obtain?
Financial, attention, charity.
Financially need money.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain money as a result of you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How'd that work out? How'd that happen?
Experts later determined Dee Dee used Gypsy's fake illnesses as a
Sorry about that intermission. Very interesting information. She always knew she could walk. At some point, she knew she could walk. I was wondering if they were going to ask what age did she know she could walk. Very interesting.
used Gypsy's fake illnesses as a way to cash in on everything from Make-A-Wish trips to a home built by Habitat for Humanity.
I asked you why you obtained an advantage for being in a wheelchair. You said people gave you money. And then I think my next question is, why did they give you money?
Because they felt sorry for me. They believed the lie, they believed the fraud.
The docuseries revealed that for years, multiple members of Dee Dee's family say they knew Gypsy could walk and was healthy, but still didn't question her wheelchair use. On top of that, Gypsy revealed her mother's family kept another darker secret.
Let's go back there.
They say they knew Gypsy could walk and was healthy, but still didn't question her wheelchair use. On top of that, Gypsy revealed her mother's family kept another darker secret, that her grandfather, Dee Dee's father, sexually assaulted Gypsy for years. Gypsy said, quote, "I feel like releasing all of that would be very therapeutic for me." She alleges her grandfather, Claude Petrie, brought her to a woodshed behind his home and forced Gypsy to touch him. She said, quote, "At 9, I don't think I knew it was wrong." Her grandfather told her not to tell anyone, and quote, "I didn't want to get him into trouble, so I kept quiet." Claude Petrie denied these allegations and instead said Gypsy tried to touch him. He has never been.
This is the commentary that I played. Not this commentary, but the notion, the allegation of child molestation by the father. I asked whose father was it, her father or her mother's father, because that would be a very interesting information as to tie in abuse from the mom to her. So now we hear that it was her mother's father, Dee Dee Blanchard, who is no longer living. As I said in that commentary during the live stream, is this the reason why she was messed up mentally? Is it perhaps that Mr. Petrie molested Dee Dee? I do not know. But you have to factor that in because trauma begets trauma. Deceit begets deceit. You learn by example. You lead by example. You were molested. You may have the propensity to molest as a child and also as an adult. You learn to grift, to lie, to steal, manipulate. Then you go out here and you do the same. Then you teach your own children the same. It does not mean you have to do it. It does not mean that you can't change. And it also means that you won't do it. It depends on the person himself or herself. So we now have clarification that the child essay allegation is from Dee Dee's father, Mr. Claude Petrie. He's denied all allegations of this alleged child incident. So now we have two incidents. Behind the shed, he touches her allegedly. And we hear from Banfield, News Nation, there was a bathtub incident at 4 years of age. But the stepmother does not go into great detail of that incident, but she feels that it is truthful because of the details given to her by Gypsy. This information was given to the stepmother, Christine, while she was incarcerated, 1st year to 2 years incarceration. And once again, he has denied all allegations of essay of this said woman as a child, but I do find it interesting that the perpetrator of these allegations is Dee Dee's father, not Gypsy's father. Stay woke, everybody.
Gypsy tried to touch him. He has never been charged with sexually assaulting her. But Gypsy doubled down, saying, quote, "There is no part of me that questions if this happened or not. This 100% happened. He can take this."
Let's go here. Most will think he's guilty because he's deflecting. Well, she touched me. But did you respond by saying I touched her? No, his response is I told her no. Very sick scenario. Somebody comes up to you and spins this web. Oh, she says you touched her. Well, she touched me first. But I told her no. Is that the truth? And did he tell her parents that she touched him? Did he tell his daughter, Dee Dee, hey, your daughter touched me inappropriately? Number two, did she tell her mother, father, or somebody else that the grandfather touched her? Is the grandfather known to touch other children, participants in the family, strangers, children known? Will we hear other allegations against the grandfather? Very interesting information, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Yes, I'm on. This is an interactive live stream. This is a two-part live stream pertaining to Summer Wells and Gypsy Rose. I just decided to put them all in the same live just because it's just better for me to do this.
This 100% happened. He can take this to his grave if he wants to, but the one person that is not going to visit him at his grave is me. Gypsy says she only made this bombshell revelation to her stepmother, Christy Blanchard, after she was in prison. Christy, who married Gypsy's father, Rod Blanchard, when she was still a child, believed for years her stepdaughter was chronically ill. Rod told documentarians he believed the same, saying Dee Dee's facade was too convincing to dispute.
Too convincing. So we get information down the road that this lady moved to Missouri after Katrina. And this is when this farce took place of deceiving people about a non-existent illnesses of the girl child. Thank you so much, everybody.
Did you believe you had?
Cancer, muscular dystrophy. I needed glasses. I needed hearing aids. Seizure disorder. And I can't remember what else.
And when did you figure out that you weren't actually sick?
I started to piece things together when I was about 19 years old. Then I didn't understand the full extent of how healthy I was until after I got arrested.
Dee Dee's family explained she grew up with a heart murmur, which they hypothesized could have led to her forcing fake illnesses upon Gypsy. For years, Gypsy herself believed she was really ill.
I thought that I was going to die. I thought that I was a dying child.
Throughout childhood, Gypsy underwent multiple unnecessary surgeries, including the insertion of a feeding tube that she didn't need and the removal of her salivary glands. That led to Gypsy losing multiple teeth. Right now, she only has 16 real teeth. In multiple current photos, you can see her dentures. Dee Dee's insistence that her daughter was ill was only exacerbated by Hurricane Katrina in 2005. She claimed Gypsy's medical records were destroyed in the storm. This led to Dee Dee fudging the years of Gypsy's birthday to make her daughter appear younger than she really was. Gypsy now says she realizes her mother was suffering from a mental illness.
People often get wrong that my mother was just an evil person, and then that's not the case. She suffered from mental illness, so I don't think that she was ever purposely trying.
See, this is where some people are going to say that perhaps Gypsy Rose is ill herself, because if it can be verified, and I don't know if it can, because, you know, the woman is dead. She shot at the mother with a BB gun, allegedly more than once. I don't put my stamp on anything that's being said as far as BB guns and this and that. You're going to hear that later. Obviously, she thought it was a real gun. Then that goes back to what I said before. It could have ended up a worst case scenario anyway, because if she was shooting at her mother and thought it was a real gun, she would have killed her mother. And vice versa. I could see the mother killing her. She doesn't want the truth out. She doesn't want the scams to end, the money, the attention, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that she says her mother, you know, had a mental problem, then people will say, well, if you feel like this, Gypsy, then why would you even go get this guy to kill your mother? Why were you shooting at your mother with a BB gun? You felt your mother was sick. You felt your mother was not a monster. You said that in commentary. I brought that with a source. Then it contradicts shooting at her and having her murdered by your then boyfriend, Mr. Nicholas Godeshan. Then the flip side of that could be, well, she was under duress. She was under stress. She was allegedly under the influence of narcotics. She said she was taking drugs at the time and also was using drugs inside a penitentiary. See, what is the truth? Was she under the influence of narcotics at the time of the murder? She also claims that drugs were on her at the time of being arrested. Is that true? And also these allegations of getting high in penitentiary. As I said, if you do the math, she's only been in there 8.5 years. How can you be clean only 4 years or 5 years? That means you were getting high in there. Talked the stepmother into giving her money because she owed somebody money in the damn prison, a girl. It's all so much to digest. Lord have mercy. One could say, well, she's an addict because she was stealing her mom's meds. Also another allegation. It's a lot to digest. And naturally people can say, well, it's all the past. But what I always say, what you have to focus on is the obvious. The abuse took place. We already know this. Some things could be added on, fluff by this young lady. I don't know. But the one thing you always have to remember about a version is just that, a version. Without a receipt, you have no knowledge if something happened or not. But she's also has been groomed to be a deceiver. She's also been groomed to be a grifter, because once you know that you can walk, then you have to know that anything that's been given to you and gifts, the house, Make-A-Wish trips, it's all a farce. It's a lie. So you're now grooming somebody to be deceitful. Will this be a problem with her in the near future? Because 8.5 years in penitentiary, you are not reformed. I'm going to say this. And this is from actual statistics of people who have been locked up for various crimes. They go right back out and do the same damn thing again, or something worse, to go back into penitentiary and never get out.
From mental illness. So I don't think that she was ever purposely trying to be mean or hurt me. I think it was maybe something that it was out of her control. It is called a disease for a reason. It is called mental illness.
Did she come to this realization that her mother didn't mean to try to hurt her until after she got a guilty sentence, guilty verdict? See, you always have to weigh in everything that's being said. Because at the time, you probably hated your mother, Gypsy, and rightfully so. I'm not here to judge you on that, because abuse is abuse. But are you only saying these things now because you are free? You want people to believe that you have remorse for murdering your mother. And that's the one question that people are probably still questioning. But in the end, some will say, what difference does it make? The woman did abuse her. It's not like it's a lie. So does she actually have remorse for conspiring to kill her mother? Is she only saying these things to save face and look positive? But as I said, the flip side is still, some would say, I don't care. She abused a child. She doesn't have to care about her mother. She doesn't have to say she loves her mother. She doesn't have to say, oh, her mother was mentally ill. It's all interpretation. I'm not here weighing in Either way, just asking the questions. Thank you.
It is called a disease for a reason. It is called mental illness for a reason. So, I want to bring awareness to that.
The pair moved from Louisiana to Missouri in 2005, and soon the Missouri Department of Family Services visited Dee Dee and Gypsy's home. A doctor reported Gypsy as a potential kidnap victim after getting wind of the discrepancies in Gypsy's medical documents and was concerned. Still, Gypsy lied about the situation.
Why did you not tell doctors that you knew you could walk or you didn't believe yourself to be killed during the time that you were doing this?
I didn't think that anyone would believe me. I thought that it would eventually tell my mom, and that would make my own life even worse for me. I feared her more than I feared anyone else.
I believe she feared her mother because her mother is all she knows. She doesn't have contact with the father, any other relatives. I'm assuming the mother naturally would have kept people from her, even if she told them where she was living. Then you have to ask that question. Did Dee Dee Blanchard give anybody their legal address in the state of Missouri? You also heard in commentary I brought you that they moved around a lot. So what age did they start moving around? I can't pinpoint when all this fraud began, because you hear now that she had heart murmurs. So one would have to say, so she had a heart murmur at birth, perhaps the mother, I don't know, waited till when? After Katrina to decide to go find a place to live naturally, and that's when the scam started. 2, why are you going to lie about how old your child is? That makes no sense. Whether you have documentation or not, why lie? We now get information that a doctor, since something was wrong with, I guess, her age and whatever he's learning about her, he calls DHS. But the girl lies. But in the end, it doesn't even matter, because I don't really understand any of this. Because a doctor, you are supposed to be the one that knows about the body. So this may lead to the moving around business. See, Gypsy doesn't tell us exactly when they started the moving around. Were you moving around before Katrina or after Katrina? Because I can see once they got to Missouri, the doctor started seeing some indiscrepancies in whatever information that Miss Blanchard was giving. This is how I can see the moving around. Gotta go. Gotta find somewhere else to go. I don't know. Because if you don't get a timeline, you're just listening to a version. That's just the bottom line. But I blame doctors. I blame every doctor that saw her. I'm going to say this. Because at some point, somebody should have realized she could walk, number one. Somebody should have realized she did not have muscular dystrophy. She did not have cancer. You had to have done blood works. I blame whoever gave her the feeding tube. I blame whoever kept giving her the feeding tube. Any nurses, you're a registered nurse. You have the fortitude to have information from studying medical science under a doctor. You are one step before being a doctor, a registered nurse. Licensed practical nurse. You're one step under a nurse. So somebody should have seen the signs that this was a farce of the feeding tubes, the cancer, the muscular dystrophy. She couldn't walk. Come on now. And in the end, this woman has used a legal address wherever she's lived in the state of Missouri. So even if she moved from one address to the other, she could have been found. Because then you have to ask the question about Miss Dee Dee Blanchard. Did she draw any type of funds from the government for herself, such as SSI? Did she work, hold down a job when she lived in Missouri? Stay woke. Or was this her only hustle, grifting off of falsehoods of her daughter? You can be found. So long as you give your address to somebody, you can be found. So I blame the doctors. Because CPS, when you got involved to see what was wrong with the little girl, why didn't you send her to an independent physician? Okay, well, we're going to get a second opinion and see if his opinion or her opinion matches this first allegation from this doctor. Here, stay woke. How in the hell can this situation go from the mid-2000s up until the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard? It doesn't make any sense. Moving around or not. She has still had to have given a legal address at some point. So now you got to ask, all these medical procedures that were not viable, who's paying for all of these situations? Okay. Was she getting state funds from Missouri for her daughter? I won't doubt that she did. She probably got food stamps, medical, a welfare check, something. But if she's not complying with CPS and she doesn't respond to them, she definitely would not be getting any type of food stamps and financial monies.
This stress led to a new habit of vaping and later smoking, something Gypsy said she did for about a year. But the real bombshell came in the form of a prescription pill addiction Gypsy says she developed after stealing her mother's Vicodin. It happened when she was about 16 years old, and she called it a, quote, escape from reality. Though she didn't know it was addiction at the time, Gypsy went on, quote, I knew it was a craving. It was all that I could think about. For the first few years of her prison sentence, Gypsy explained she used drugs to cope. She chased the same high by using Suboxone, a drug used to treat opioid addiction. She even begged her stepmother for $50 to pay for her habit. At the time, Gypsy lied and said she broke a fellow inmate's CD player and needed to repay her.
I'm reprogramming myself, and it takes a minute. I don't think I'm like my mother at all. I try actively not to be.
At one point, Gypsy met a man at a comic book convention and snuck out of the house to meet him. When Dee Dee found the pair, Gypsy says she was chained to the bed for weeks with handcuffs and a dog leash.
She took me back home. She smashed my computer and my cell phone. She chained me to a bed for 2 weeks.
In the docuseries, Gypsy reveals that her mother put a voodoo hex on her at that time, burying a jar in the backyard with a cow's tongue and menstrual blood, cursing Gypsy to a life without love. According to her family members, Dee Dee dabbled in spell casting and magic, but all this made Gypsy even more desperate.
Who initially brought up killing your mother?
I do.
A bombshell reveal in the docuseries shows Gypsy attempted to kill her mother prior to Dee Dee's death. Gypsy admitted to pointing a gun at her mom and firing multiple shots, even hitting her mother with the pellets. It wasn't until after she pulled the trigger that Gypsy realized it was a BB gun. When she was treated for the injuries, Dee Dee told doctors she was robbed at gunpoint in a Walmart parking lot. As a way to create more space for herself, Gypsy created a Facebook page she hid from her mother, where she would communicate with her secret boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn.
How did you meet him?
On an online Christian dating website.
Do you remember the name of that site?
ChristianDatingFree.com.
How old were you when you met?
It's about 21.
In June of 2015, what did you consider your relationship?
I'm going to interject here. At some point, somebody should have intervened. If anybody related to this girl and Dee Dee Blanchard had knowledge of where they lived, I'm just saying, if, you should have called DHS, you should have called the police. That we're trying to figure out why she doesn't bring this child around, why she won't let us see the child. She's sick, so what's the big deal? She's in a wheelchair. You got all these pictures of her talking, videos at Ronald McDonald House, all these places. So the child could talk, she could function. So you can't say she was bedridden, we're worried about germs. So you have to speak up. Because this farce could have ended a long time ago. Had anybody had information to where they were, number one. Number two, the doctors. You're seeing her, so this doesn't make any logical sense to anybody say. And all these stories you're hearing right here, DHS visits. She's smoking, vaping, stealing meds from her mother, shooting the mother with BB guns. The mother saying she got robbed, sneaking out to meet a boy. The mother, then she takes her home, ties her down, surgeries, whatever you call it, glands removed, 16 teeth only, heart murmur. All this is BS. Voodoo hexes. Then you have to ask yourself about the mother. You know, she's dead now, but damn, you didn't ever want to date anybody, get a husband, get a boyfriend. How long were you going to just perfect this act? Obviously for a while, because this all came to fruition when she was 23, 24 years of age, the murder of the mother. So she didn't want her to have anybody, and she basically told her she wasn't going to have anybody. She wasn't going to date nobody. She wasn't going to live with nobody. It was just going to be she and her. How sick is this? That you are so miserable and disturbed that you're willing to hold somebody hostage in the house because you are miserable. You are mad at the world. You're mad your relationship didn't work out. So you want to hold this little girl hostage to become a liar, to become just like you. And I find it very interesting that she says here in this commentary, I'm not like my mother. Well, you better hope you don't become like Dee Dee, because you've been groomed for years by your mother. And 15 years of grooming is a long time. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the allegations are. What's proven? 15 years of being abused is a long time. And you carry those wounds with you, as you've already said, Miss Gypsy. I'm carrying this. So in the end, you're saying, well, I'm not like her. Well, we don't know if you're like her or not, because you went from that box to prison box, and you do not get rehabilitated in prison. Your true test of rehabilitation is when you are free. Let me make that clear. People will spend tall tales in jail because all you have to do is think when you're locked up. Think. And talk on phones and write letters. Talk is cheap. Being free is your proof to what you're going to do in the world and how you're going to navigate. Hazel says handcuffs and being tied sound like essay. Well, not necessarily essay, but I got to keep her tied down because I don't want her running out telling anybody. Because the girl can't be seen. Think about it. If she's out walking around and running around with a boy, or hell, just walking to the ice cream shop, somebody gonna notice. Well, I thought that little girl was sick. I thought she was in a wheelchair. What's she doing walking around at the corner store? So she can't afford to have this child walking around. She can't afford for the girl to go run, tell somebody, tell the police. So I can see her tying her up. I won't doubt that's the truth. Because they've got the makeshift shed that she made, and inside of it was nothing but toys and a toddler bed. Why do you need a shed for that? Stay woke. The girl is getting bigger. So you don't need a toddler bed anymore. You don't need school-age toys for a toddler / 8 or 9-year-old when you got a 15, 16-year-old. That's stuff you donate. I won't doubt she threw her in that shed, tied her up. I don't doubt it.
In June of 2015, what did you consider your relationship to Nick to be? What kind of relationship?
We were boyfriend, girlfriend
And when did you become boyfriend and girlfriend?
in October 2012.
When did you first meet Nick in person?
March of 2015.
So between October of 2012 and March of 2015, you hadn't actually met Nick in person?
That is correct.
What type of relationship did you have during that period of time?
Online relationship.
And by online, what do you mean?
Strictly communicating through Facebook.
Any other ways other than Facebook?
Instant text messaging, emails.
Prior to March of 15, when you indicated you met Mr. Goody John for the first time in person, had your mother met him?
No, sir.
Did she know he existed?
No, sir.
Why is it she didn't know?
Because it was a secret relationship and my mother would never allow me to have a boyfriend.
Why not?
Because she controlled every aspect of my life.
Dee Dee is not about to let her have anything that she ain't getting. Stay woke. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm bitter. Nobody loves me. Hell no. You ain't about to go out here into the world once again How is this child going to have a life if they've been grifting and lying to people? Oh, she can walk. It's a miracle. She's feeling better. Dee Dee had to have known this farce was not going to last. It was only a matter of time that one or the other was going to turn on each other. That's common sense. Because this girl is watching things, sneaking and looking at things. She's on a date site now, talking to this guy. 3 years just talking on messaging systems. See, one thing begets another. I'm tired of this. I want out. I want to see the world. I want to do things. I want a boyfriend. I want friends. So it's no shock that she shot the mother with a BB gun. It's no shock that she met this guy and started telling him about what was going on. It's no shock that anything nefarious happened to Dee Dee Blanchard because it was a recipe for disaster. She was out here manipulating people, lying to people, and using her child. It was only a matter of time that the truth would reveal itself, and it ended up, she paid the piper, Dee Dee Blanchard. She had to have known this was not going to end well. Yes, Dee Dee would have done it eventually. Of course she would have. She would have killed that girl in her sleep, doped her up, poisoned her. Because you also hear, she probably couldn't really get to poison. That's why she didn't ever poison her mom. You hear this in his testimony in court. But she was going to end up killing that girl, or the girl's going to end up killing the mother. That's the reason why she shot her. She thought that was a real gun. She didn't know a real gun from a fake gun. So that's what I'm saying. She was going to end up hurting her mother one way or the other, whether it was suffocating in her sleep, whatever. You also hear that she didn't like blood, so that's why she didn't do it herself. She had this Mr. Go-to-John do it. But the point is, something bad was going to happen to Dee Dee. It was either going to happen to Dee Dee or it was going to happen to Gypsy. Take your pick. And instead, she found somebody to do it for her. That was Mr. Nicholas Go-to-John.
Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you were not allowed to date?
Yes.
How many times do you think?
I don't remember.
Did you and your mother ever have any discussions about whether you were ever going to be able to date?
Yes, sir.
Did you and Nick talk about that?
We may have it.
What did your mother say about your ability to date going forward?
She said that it would never happen, that she would never allow it.
What about marriage? Did you and Nick ever talk about marriage?
Yes.
Did you and your mother ever discuss whether or not you'd be able to get married someday?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She said that she wouldn't allow it.
Gypsy confided in Go-to-John that her illnesses were fake and explained her mother's abuse was only becoming more frequent.
I was growing increasingly desperate to get out of my home life.
Did you tell Nick that?
Growing increasingly desperate to get out of my home life. I get it. Because that's the whole point about life. If you're not in somebody's shoes, you really don't know what their life was like. And I can't imagine living with somebody who's using me to lie. I fear for my safety. I don't want to disappoint this person. I know I can walk. I know I'm not sick, but I just ride the ride because she's all I know. She's all I got. This is how people use people. They talk them into believing that they are their savior. You need me. Even when they're adults. They ride the donkey ride. They know they don't need that person. At some point, you know you don't need that person. You know they're just using you, manipulating you, conning you, abusing you, but you hold on for whatever sick reason. And we've all made mistakes in dealing with people who are just no good. Maybe not to this severity, but you hold on. But you can't get mad at her because she was a child. That's just common sense. She was a child. She didn't choose Dee Dee Blanchard as her mother. I fought the people who were in the medical profession. I fought the family because what's disturbing in this commentary is that she says, if you're to believe her version, the family knew she could walk but never questioned the wheelchair. That makes no sense to me. How would I know she can walk Well, then I'd be questioning the wheelchair. You can't have one without the other. Dee Dee, she can walk while she in that wheelchair. Girl, what's going on here? Come on now. This is bullshit. So what? How much is the truth to that? That people knew she could walk? Because there are questions that the family questioned, the severity, I guess, of the child's illnesses. But so you see, you don't know where to take this. Okay, well, tell us what you question. Because you can't leave it open-ended. I hate open-ended statements. We question her sickness, her illnesses. Okay, what did you question? Did you say something to Dee Dee? Did you call DHS? Did you call the police? Because it doesn't really mean anything in 2023 when all this shit is coming out that you question something. Well, tell us what you question. Because people are going to look at this story in so many different facets of life, depending on how they were raised and how they live. Okay, you question something, but this shit went on for 15 years. The doctors had total access to a whole human, and it went on for 15 years. So somebody needs to stand account besides Dee Dee Blanchard. Because I could spin a web all day. I got cancer. But if I'm going to the doctor, doctors are seeing me. You got video of them at the hospital, Ronald McDonald House, all these places. Well, then that means somebody in the medical profession needs to stand account for seeing this child and realizing something is off with what the mother is saying. This is bad.
Did you tell Nick that?
Yes.
And what was your mom doing that caused you to be more desperate?
Things were getting more physically abusive. The hitting was more. The starving was more.
Wow, starving her. I question that as well.
And you mentioned you were in a wheelchair. Were you required to act in a certain way when you were in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How was that?
She would have me stay very quiet and pretend like I couldn't talk.
Gypsy feared others may not believe her about the abuse and fake illnesses. Together, she and John theorized ways to free Gypsy.
Why not just tell somebody rather than kill your mother? Why was that not an option?
I truly didn't believe that nobody would believe me if I told them. My mother had legal documents in place saying that I was incompetent, and I thought that meant that if I went to anyone, the police, or told anyone, she would just have them convinced that I was making them or making up.
Who talked to you into killing your mother?
I did. I talked him into it.
In the end, the pair decided it would be John who would kill Dee Dee. He planned to take a bus from his home in Waukesha, Wisconsin, to the Blanchards' home in Springfield, Missouri.
Had you discussed alternative methods of killing your mother?
Yes.
What other alternatives had you considered?
Poison, arson, guns.
Why did you not consider?
Poison, arson, guns. Nobody would believe me. Very interesting. This is a diabolical story. Lord have mercy. And the scary part of this story would be the stats of other people doing this to their children, doing this to their family members. How many other children are out here that are not ill and their parents are grifting and using the system to get over? I'm just trying to put this together because let's be truthful. Back in the 2000s and the 2015, that's still modern technology. That's not like 1941, 1930, 1950. We're not talking about 60, 70 years ago. We had modern technology in 2015, 2017. Come on, you guys. We had modern technology. We had modern science, meds, prescriptions, scientific work. We're not talking about yesteryear. So this is what I'm going to post to the chat. if we had modern technology in 2015, 17, 19, what is to keep this from happening again in 2024? Because I don't really see the difference. You know, we're not talking about an age where we were, you know, running around on clay dirt. We had modern technology those 10, 12 years ago. So this is bullshit. Or 15 years ago. This doesn't make any sense to me. And you went to school, you went to college, you went to perfect your craft in becoming a doctor. And that is one of the hardest professions to study for, is a doctor and a lawyer, because there is so much information to ascertain in both those fields. So it is not to say that you can't make a mistake in studying those fields and perfecting your craft. Let's make that clear. Many times people become very sick and ill and they don't know what's wrong with you. They don't know what's going on with you. I questioned that with my father when he was sick. That's the first thing I thought when he finally went to hospice. I thought, how is it that he's coming to this doctor? He's been sitting up in this hospital all this time and you don't know that the man was dying. You just one day just say, oh, we're going to put him in hospice. I thought to myself, so what drew you to this conclusion? The man is underweight. You've had to have records to know that he was never a small guy. He was always a very tall man and he carried weight on him. And you never just went in the records to see how much he weighed 5-6 months ago, his health charts and all of that. You didn't do blood works to see what was going on with him. You didn't realize he had a heart condition. And then just out of the blue, you just say, okay, well, we're going to put him in hospice. I just see, it's stuff like this that doesn't make any sense to me. How nobody that's a fucking doctor that don't know, okay, something's off here. It's just strange to me. Oh, we don't know what's wrong with him. I don't care. Negligence? Because let's be truthful. She's possibly getting ready to sue the people who did one of the documentaries about her. And I won't doubt she'll probably sue the doctors that saw her in Missouri for negligence. And she possibly would have a good case because the Board of Medicine is going to ask these people, how is it you didn't know something was not right with Gypsy Rose? How is it you did not know she was not a cancer patient? She didn't have muscular dystrophy. Because you also hear the mother was giving her medicine to make her sick. Possibly giving her medicine that helped make her hair fall out. And then the meds she's taking for these imaginary illnesses, I'm assuming they were making her hair fall out. So see, this is really deep. This is so disturbing to me.
Consider.
Poison, arson, guns.
Why did you not consider poison?
It was too hard to find an odorless, tasteless poison.
Why didn't you kill your mother?
I didn't believe I could do it.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
I don't like blood. I don't like the sight of blood. Frankly, I'm too squeamish. So I just honestly didn't believe I could do it on my own.
A bombshell reveal in her docuseries that Gypsy reported a to-do list for Godejohn prior to her mother's murder, leading the camera on a path throughout their home and pointing out when Godejohn should stab Dee Dee. Gypsy told interviewers she was high on Vicodin at the time of the video's recording.
You could hear your mom, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you heard her scream,
Yes, sir.
and she screamed your name.
Yes, sir.
When Godejohn arrived at her home, Gypsy hid in the bathroom, but heard her mother scream her name as Godejohn stabbed her to death.
You know, the murder just happens again and again and again in my mind. I'm free physically, but I'm not free from the trauma.
After that, Gypsy says Godejohn raped her. The pair stayed in Missouri for several days before taking a bus to Godejohn's home in Wisconsin. After writing a cryptic message on Dee Dee's Facebook account, investigators found the crime scene.
I'm going to go back. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
And she screamed your name.
Yes, sir.
When Godejohn arrived at her home, Gypsy hid in the bathroom, but heard her mother scream her name as Goda John stabbed her to death.
You know, the murder just happens again and again and again in my mind. I'm free physically, but I'm not free from the trauma.
After that, Gypsy says Goda John raped her. The pair stayed in Missouri for several days before taking a bus to Goda John's home in Wisconsin. After writing a cryptic message on Dee Dee's Facebook account, investigators found the crime scene and later tracked.
So they stayed at the crime scene for 3 days or so and then went to his house. Well, what did his parents say about her being at the house? They didn't ask who she was? You want me to believe they traveled all that way to his home and the parents didn't see her, didn't wonder who she was, where she came from? Very weird information. Who's this girl? Where'd you find her? How'd you meet her? What did she say? And then the interrogation was bizarre, where she was standing up, raising her hands up. I don't know if somebody was asking her if she could stretch or move, but just what she was doing was so creepy to me. And I couldn't tell if somebody was standing in the doorway, you know, asking her, you know, to move or stretch her arms. But when you watch that interrogation video of her standing up, looking up to the ceiling, raising her arms, it's very, very creepy, I must say. What's going to happen with Goda John? Will somebody try to see about getting him out of prison? I did hear that there may be someone trying to bring forward, seek about an appeal or whatever, because I haven't heard much about an appeal. But that's what's going to happen next. You already know that. People are going to say he was just as off as she is. He's got mental issues. He was autism. He was autistic, allegedly. So why is he in there? Okay, he killed her. And what makes me think they both have mental problems is the fact that it was posted to the social media Facebook page, her Facebook page. I keep telling myself when I read that today, heard that today, what person is going to post that to Facebook knowing that they're going to come look for the mother? That makes no sense. The bitch is dead. I mean, come on. So what sane person would do that? I mean, people are going to say you're insane for killing her. You're entitled to your interpretation. But if I don't want to get arrested for murder, I'm not getting ready to go post to my page or somebody else's page, this woman is dead, before the police even showed up. I'm not going to do that, because then I'm pointing the fingers that I have knowledge that the person is no longer alive. That makes no sense to me. That shows me that they were acting like children. Their behavior was childlike. And that's just not something a suspect would do that's trying to elude authorities. That's really the behavior of somebody that's really mentally inept. Kill a person and then post it to social media. BITCH is dead. Come on, you guys. Seriously now.
On Dee Dee's Facebook account, investigators found the crime scene and later tracked down Gypsy and Goda John.
Okay,
in the
Paris.
Series, Gypsy
Hello,
revealed
sweet.
Goda John wrote to her in early 2019, saying he wanted to be with her and did not regret her mother's murder. She wrote back, though, saying she does not want a relationship with him. Gypsy accepted a plea deal in 2016, while Goda John was tried and convicted of first-degree murder in 2018.
I don't want a relationship with you. Well, what relationship could they have? He's got life, no parole, and she's only expected to do 10 years at that time. She knew eventually she'd get out of prison. She'd be able to have a life, have children, get a house, home, whatever. There's no life with you. Now, let's ask this question. If Mr. Goda John had gotten a lighter sentence, would she have possibly considered trying to be with him? Interesting. Sorry, can't be with you. You're not getting out. Was that her reason for not wanting a relationship with him? Oh, there's a lot of information coming out right now. Lord have mercy. When they say the devil's a liar, they meant that. Have mercy.
Plea deal in 2016, while Goda John was tried and convicted of first-degree murder in 2018. Now, almost a decade after the crime, Gypsy walks free. Experts say it will be a challenge for her to acclimate to life on the outside.
It's shocking for anyone. Honestly, the prison system is setting up a lot of people for failure. A majority of people end up just getting back into prison simply because they can't meet the criteria for parole.
Are we setting up people for failure? Our judicial system, prisons? Well, let's be truthful. The prisons are not going to have enough money to try to rehabilitate people who have the chance to get out of jail. Let's say they have a 1 year to 20 years sentence, 30 years sentence. I can't see the prisons having staff to put everybody in therapy that wants to take therapy. Come on, you guys. It's easy to make that comment. They're setting them up for failure. But the point is it the judicial process to put the people in therapy? You have to want therapy, number one. You have to acknowledge you have a problem. If some of these people acknowledge they had a problem when they were teenagers and young adults, maybe they would have never ended up in the predicaments that they were in. Then you have to look at the fact of where a person lives, the resources available. You have to have resources available to say, hey, I have a problem. Hey, I need to see a therapist. We have some organizations here in our area, Helen Ross McNabb, and they help with people who are having some mental issues, transitional issues. But that's the whole point. You have to say to yourself, I have a problem. I don't feel well. I'm not good. Most times people are recommended to these facilities after somebody realizes that they do have a problem. But that's the sad part. Something has to jump off for somebody to say, oh, well, you need to, they need to be recommended to go to this facility because there's something wrong with them. And in the end, when you're an adult, and you are medicated or recommended to take medicine, it doesn't mean that you'll take it. Then you got to have the funds to buy the medicine. See, everything is a stepping stone when it comes to mental illness. When it comes to the placement of underdevelopmental individuals. First of all, you got to have money. They got to have money. They got to want help. They got to reach out. They got to follow through. Somebody's got to check on them. You got to have facilities perhaps or group homes. It's more than just talk. You can talk all day. But a lot of people that you see that are homeless, they are mentally ill. They have no business on the street. But if you don't have facilities, you don't have the resources, they don't reach out. It's just talk. It's just talk. There's a lot of people walking around right now know they need to see a therapist, know they need mental health. They know they've got bad vices. They know they have a temper. They know they have ill thoughts of hurting people. They know they have sexual desires that are not normal. But you have to reach out to someone to say, hey, I need help. If you don't acknowledge you need help, then it's a lost cause. Because you cannot force someone to seek medical attention.
Because they can't meet the criteria for parole, right? They find it difficult to get a job. They find it difficult for housing. Family members, if any even exist, probably have ostracized them because of whatever the crime was. I mean, it's very difficult for these individuals to come out of incarceration and then find success. It's very, very rare.
But according to her social media pages, Gypsy is doing just fine in that apartment.
Hey everybody, so we are in Times Square. Look at this. Isn't this epic? Oh my god, I'm so enjoying my time right now. We're just walking Times Square and doing a little shopping. I bought an I Love New York t-shirt, which was on my bucket list, so that was pretty awesome.
Multiple videos show Gypsy on a press tour in New York where she's seeing the sights.
Hey, so we bought tickets to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, and we are about how many minutes away?
So it's at 7 and it's like we are 10 minutes from
10 minutes
showtime.
away, so we'll tell you how it is. It's going to be amazing. I read the book, love the series, and it's going to be an amazing show.
We got great seats.
Yeah, we got look at the seats.
Right on the balcony.
Yeah, that's real nice.
So they're in the theater showing you that they're going to be watching this show of Harry Potter, which that's already transpired. I'm going to say this and do not get offended by what I'm going to say. Because Lord knows people get offended by the smallest of things. The fact that she wants to see Harry Potter should tell you her mindset. I was once a child. I watched all the TV sitcoms known to man in the 70s. I had the lunchbox, I believe, for the Waltons, Happy Days, all of that. I had the records to Welcome Back, Kotter, the theme songs to most of the 70s shows, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley. I don't have a desire to collect a Fonzie doll, Barbie doll, Cabbage Patch doll, because I'm an adult now. And it's in the scripture about putting away childish things, because that's the point. Once you become an adult, you put away childish things. Thousands of things to do in New York City. Let me make this clear. This is the one thing she would choose to do, is see a Harry Potter play. This is what I'm saying. Her mindset is still of a child. And I'm sure there's some of you who are still into things that are animated and childlike in nature, such as Harry Potter and all the Harry Potter movies, blah, blah, blah. You entitled to your opinion. I'm just saying she's still just in her early 30s. Her mind is still of a child. The fact that she's got this guy to go along with her, this husband, to see Harry Potter, that may lead you to believe also he has a childlike mind. And I am not here to offend anyone who likes Harry Potter. What I'm trying to say is New York is what it is, the Big Apple. And my last time in New York, I didn't go see Harry Potter. I wanted to eat out. I wanted to shop. That's what normal people do to go to New York. You want to see the sights. But that's the point. It's what your interests are made of. That's her interests. These are her interests. Yes, she's still young in her mind. Because that's my point. I've played with just all kind of toys. I was a Barbie fan, all of that. But I have no desire to collect Barbie dolls. I have no desire to collect Barbie memorabilia or any type of childhood memorabilia. I don't have that desire. Do I every blue moon go into the Roku channel and pull up an old TV show from the 70s that I watched as a child? Yeah, but that's a difference. It's just it's a show, but it's not Scooby-Doo. It's not Mickey Mouse. It's not the Hulk. It's not, you see where I'm going? It's a TV show, but the TV shows are for adults because we were more advanced as children growing up in the 70s. So we watch grown people TV shows. But that's from my childhood. Adult TV shows, not animated shows. I don't watch anything animated from when I was a kid. Popeye, I don't. And I won't because I don't want to. Yes, she has a childlike demeanor. That's why she chose Harry Potter. And you have to ask yourself, what is to become of this woman and this man? Because it takes two to tango. And he agreed to this Harry Potter viewing. So one would wonder if his mind is still of a child. He likes childish things, programs, commentary, content.
Amazing show.
We got great food.
Yeah, we got look
Right on about.
yeah, that's real nice. I opened up the windows and I'm like, I've never seen tall buildings like this.
She's also seemingly embracing her new sense of style, showing off her outfits and makeup.
Hey everyone, so this is my outfit of the day. Everything is Zara, my top, my shorts, my shoes, and my makeup was done by the lovely Isabel. So I think I look pretty cute. Get ready with me for my lifetime birthday.
When they filmed the doc, did they bring people in to do your makeup? Yeah. So many times. No.
I wonder. But what Gypsy may be most vocal about is her husband, Ryan Anderson, a 6th grade social studies teacher in Louisiana.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm newly married. Why be on play?
Yeah. Gypsy and Ryan got married back in 2022 while she was still serving time. The docuseries also gave us insight into the relationship that went on for more than a year before they ever met in real life. Anderson told reporters he first, quote, learned about Gypsy while watching her story and felt, quote, sad for her. I felt like I couldn't judge her for that. He also said when his former employer learned of his relationship with Gypsy, they asked him to resign, saying that the relationship posed a danger for students. He's since found a new job teaching. The first time he and Gypsy met in person, they spoke for 4 hours straight. Anderson proposed during their third visit, and they were married after their 7th in-person meeting on July 21st, 2022.
I'm here for the long haul, like through that this problem.
Gypsy's stepmother and father told documentarians they had doubts about the marriage, which is why Christy Blanchard suggested the pair get annulled about 3 months into their marriage. This came after an argument between Anderson and Gypsy about one of her ex-boyfriends. When the pair started therapy, they decided to stay together. They now plan to have a traditional wedding that her friends and family can attend in person. The pair noted that Chillicothe Correctional Institution did not allow conjugal visits, but they have not shied away from discussing intimate details on social media.
And the D is
Experts say though the pair have been together for some
Hold on, I want to look back at
learned
this
about Gypsy
message.
while
Hold on,
watching
you
the
guys.
story and felt, quote, sad for her. I felt like I couldn't judge her for that. He also said when his former employer learned of his relationship with Gypsy, they asked him to resign, saying that the relationship posed a danger for students. He's since found a new job teaching. The first time he and Gypsy met in person, they spoke for 4 hours straight. Anderson proposed during their third visit, and they were married after their 7th in-person meeting on July 21st, 2022.
I'm here for the long haul, like through that this problem.
Gypsy's stepmother and father told documentarians they had doubts about the marriage, which is why Christy Blanchard suggested the pair get annulled about 3 months into their marriage. This came after an argument between Anderson and Gypsy about one of her ex-boyfriends. When the pair started therapy, they decided to stay together. They now plan to have a traditional wedding that her friends and family can attend in person. The pair noted that Chillicothe Correctional Institution did not allow conjugal visits, but they have not shied away from discussing.
Married in 2022. He felt sad for her after hearing her story. He got fired from his last job because the school district felt like he was a danger to his students. He spoke with her 4 hours in person. After the 7th meeting, they married. Family members, Miss Christine, felt like she should have got the marriage annulled 3 months into the marriage, which she was incarcerated at the time, and a documentary was also being filmed of her while she was talking to him. So what I have to ask is, Mr. Ryan, did you marry her because you knew about the documentary? Because people talk, and you seem like a studious young man, which you should be because you are teaching students. So did you also know about the documentary? Because you're going to hear it at the end of this commentary. Is this a grift for both? Are we going to find out that either one is just doing what they have to do to maintain or try to get attention? I don't know, but this is a very weird mess. I'm trying to go back to this post she put up. Hold on one second, everybody. Excuse me while I try to get this information out of here. This is what she posted not too long ago. Ryan, don't listen to the haters. I love you and you love me. We do not owe anyone anything. Our family is who matters. If you get likes and good comments, great. If you get hate, then whatever, because they don't matter. I love you. Besides, they jealous because they are, wait a minute, what'd she say? Because you are rocking my world every night. Yeah, I said it. The D is fire. Happy wife, happy life. See, that right there is what I'm saying. I'm going to scratch the past in this commentary. No, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to get my commentary. Sorry for interjecting, everybody.
Media.
And the D is
Experts say though the pair have been together for several years, it will be a transition as they begin to see each other in person regularly.
Yeah, it's hard to say because we don't really know the type of relationship that they actually have. Yes, they're married, but does she even know what marriage actually means? Does she have a marriage relationship or a marriage type relationship that any one of us would see as being conventional or even unconventional? Just anything that would make kind of logical sense in terms of intimacy. There's no guarantee that any of that is there. It just could actually be another source of exploitation, either from Gypsy or towards the husband.
And while several new bombshells were revealed in the tell-all, a few things were also left out. To start, the series breezed over Gypsy's relationship with one-time fiance Ken, who reached out to Gypsy after the premiere of the HBO doc about her case called Mommy Dead and Dearest. Ken proposed to Gypsy back in 2018 and even gave her 2 engagement rings before the pair called it off. Gypsy told interviewers the fame was too much for Ken, but didn't go into much more detail. The doc also breezed over Gypsy's other ex, Nicholas Godejohn. Just last month, his defense team filed an appeal for a new trial, citing ineffective counsel during his first go-around. They allege Godejohn's first team failed to highlight his autism disorder, saying a neuropsychologist specializing in the disorder should have testified. His current defense argues that Godejohn should have never been charged with first-degree murder because his mental state doesn't meet the right requirements. Right now, he's still serving a life sentence. Law and Crime has reached out to Gypsy's team for a comment, but have not yet heard back. We'll bring you any developments in her story as they unfold.
Law and Crime is the source. Thank you all so much for joining me. 2-part live pertaining to Summer Wells' Dismantled Reward Fund and Gypsy Rose, this new commentary, new information released from the documentary. Please go back to the beginning of this live stream to get all that info of revelations. So now we have a Ken who was engaged to her. It didn't work out. He said the fame was too much. So what happened? Were people reaching out to him? Was he a part of the documentary, this Mommy Dead and Dearest, or the other documentary? I don't know, because I just can't keep up. It's all new. But anyway, I've got to watch the documentary so I can understand everything that's going on. So why did he cut her off? He tried to reach out to her. Obviously, she didn't want to be bothered. She's moved on with this new guy. So then you got to ask that question. When did she move? How far did she move on after Ken to this new guy, Ryan, that she's married to? Nicholas Godejohn's dream team is going to be trying to get a new trial for him to say that ineffective counsel, his autism was not relayed to the jury. That's why I told you something's not right with the story, because when you go back in time, if you look at the post, who is going to post that to social media after killing somebody? This shows me they're both childlike in nature and have mental problems. He's gonna post this or help her post this to social media that the mother is dead, BITCH is dead. Why would I do that? Nobody knows the woman was dead, and I'm gonna put this on social media. That's something that a child would do, not somebody trying to evade police. This lets you know that even though you see them running around in the bus station buying tickets and talking and conspiring, and he's telling the interrogators, yeah, I killed her and this and that, and I stabbed her, and I love Gypsy, he still has a childlike mind, because you don't post something like that to social media if you want to stay out of away from police and an arrest. She has been on social media talking, as I just read you this post. She's telling her husband, don't worry about what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. They're just jealous because you're rocking my world every night. See, I have a problem with this type of talk. The blonde-haired girl that's in the video with her talking about the D is fire, blah, blah, blah. What type of person are you to even go live with her talking about another man's penis? See, this is ignorant to me. But this is expected with this type of behavior. When you have people who have been misled, they have been groomed to lie, steal, manipulate. This comes with this type of behavior. Just like when I was looking at Facebook today, trying to get, an update on a story that I'm covering of a woman murdered here in Knoxville, Tennessee. You look at the people's Facebook posts, and I'm just telling you, looking at the people who are commenting on the death of this young woman, it's like, what happened to the world that we are so vocal about everything. We have to tell the world what we think about this, what we think about that, what we think about sex, what we want from sex, what we think about our mother, what we think about our father, what we think about the neighbor. There are just certain things back in the day you didn't comment on, okay? You didn't talk about your sexual business. You didn't talk about if you caught a venereal disease. You didn't post it to social media. You didn't go live and tell everybody, oh yeah, I just found out he's on the down low. I saw that video today. It's doing my homework for one of my stories, and I was like, damn, this is a good thing for people to know, but it's still so overt and vile that everybody just can't stop talking. And there's times when I've gone live and, talked a little junk in my little live streams when I go out to the bar or whatever. And, somebody might be offended by the stuff I was saying because I might say something negative about the environment and the people in the club or what they're doing, but nowhere to the extent of this type of stuff. I'm not getting ready to ever go live and tell you the D is fire. I'm not ever getting ready to post to social media, he rocked my world every night. And I'm not getting ready to tell you nothing like that. I'm not getting ready to post nothing like that ever, 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 ever. And if I was 32, 22, and social media was around in the 90s, I wouldn't have done it. Because if I ain't doing it now, that means I wouldn't have done it when I was 20 and 30. There comes a point when you have to keep your fucking mouth closed. You cannot tell all of your business. And that's my advice to Gypsy Rose and other young people and other people in general. Stop talking so much. Because this is what's going to happen, Gypsy Rose. The first time he says something out of the way to you, you are going to run to Facebook and TikTok and tell everything he said. Then he's going to jump on Facebook, TikTok, IG, and refute what your allegations are, whether they're truthful or not. And then that's going to start a firestorm of he said, she said. So then we're going to leave the realm of a dead woman who was a monster, abused her kid, guy went to penitentiary for helping kill the lady, to now the Gypsy Rose show. That's what's getting ready to happen. I see it coming because she doesn't know how to be still in the moment. Why not just go to New York, wherever you're going, have a good time, take your pictures, post them to social media, and then leave it alone. You don't have to talk on a live stream. You don't have to put a post about, I don't like what they're saying about my husband. You all shouldn't be bothering him. You shouldn't be doing this. Well, we've got to question Mr. Ryan because you did conspire to kill your mom, even though you were abused. People are going to question, why does this man want this type of woman? And it's not to say that you don't deserve love. That's why I said all of this is a flip of the coin, depending on your view of life. We know she deserves to be happy. We know she deserves to do better in life. But somebody's going to question him. Hey, why her? Why you want her? She got his mother's engagement ring. Somebody will question that. Why her? Why the ring? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you men reaching out to her? Why the hell are you all looking at Harry Potter? New York. Oh my God. I was just looking at video of New York when it was New Year's Eve. I've been looking at content from different people on social media around New Year's Eve. There's one little black girl. She's got the van life thing going on. I've been checking her out. She went to Chicago, New York. So, I've been checking out the content, just looking at different things on YouTube. Because I'm a visual person. I like visual things. I like pretty things. I like nice things. I'm a cultural person because I grew up in Chicago. So I'm a cultural person. I'm all about the arts. I'm all about living the life. Okay? I'm older than her. I'm old enough to be her mother. So I've been in the world, so I speak from experience. This is not what you want to do, Gypsy Rose, Mr. Ryan. Because, Mr. Ryan, you work with children. So if you lost your last job because somebody found out about your involvement with Gypsy Rose, Why in the hell are you publicly showing yourself now, knowing you lost a job before? See, I have to question your motivation. And many people are going to question, why are you getting involved with her? Why would you risk losing a job? Now, everybody knows you've been messing around with this woman. She's posting stuff about you. She's talking about the D is fire. You know, the queen gave her 411. I said probably not. No disrespect. That's just my opinion. Because these are things you shouldn't be posting to social media, whether you're Gypsy Rose or not. I don't care that the D is fire, but do I need to see it on a Facebook post? And I don't even like to even have people as friends on Facebook that's going to be doing all that chitter chatter. And I've got some Facebook friends, they love to complain about stuff. The lives, this, that, and the other, who did what, who shot JR, stuff that sometimes it's best you just shut up. Just stop it. Just stop it. Will these two make it? You hear Miss Christine wanted her to annul this marriage when they first got married, 3 months into it. Because you got to use deduction. You were dating Ken. That didn't work out. They said they brushed over Ken's relationship with her during the documentary. Why? Why did you all brush over that? And we hear that a lot with documentaries. They focus on what they want to focus on to bring the 411 in a storyline. But that's the point. If she dated this guy, Ken, talked to him, was engaged to him, you should have put him in the damn documentary because he's a part of the story. He's a part of the story. And now you're going to start to wonder, well, if they glazed over Ken, what else have they glazed over? See, this is why people come back with other documentaries to say, well, we're going to show you what they didn't talk about in documentary number 1, 2, 3, whatever. This is all some nonsense. And I got a feeling that is where this story is getting ready to go. We've gone from a conspiracy, murder, to now Harry Potter on Broadway, to Facebook posts of the D is fire and that blonde head girl. Baby, let me talk to you for a second. You're a pretty white girl. You need to find your ass something to do. There is no way I'm going to sit up here and be singing and dancing along with Gypsy Rose about the D is fire. I wish the hell I would. Now, you too pretty for that, honey. And Queen is funny about stuff like that. I do not believe no woman should be talking on a live post about no sex with no man. Now, naturally, everybody's got a story to tell. And I saw a Facebook post today, a live of a girl outing her boyfriend of being a homosexual. And that had my hair standing on top of my head. What little hair I got left. I said, Satan, you's a liar. She put that damn black boy on blast because the police was at their house because allegedly he was abusing her. And let me tell you something. After I heard that post, golly, I may play the post down the road because I got to be careful about what I put on this damn YouTube network because all this complaining and moaning and stuff. But nonetheless, the point I'm trying to make is what I've been saying I wanted to do a live about is how far, when it's too much, putting out information about people, blasting people on social media, confessing about what happened to you as a child, your life, this, that, and the other, putting people's government names out there. Because once you put a person's name out there, you can't take it back. And naturally, if a person's been accused of a crime or nefarious deeds, he or she is going to deny that they did it because they don't want people to know that they did that, if indeed it's true. And then that starts a firestorm. And then when you post it to a platform such as YouTube, Facebook, IG, anybody can complain and flag the video, flag the content. This is a dicey situation with going live about people. And it's no different than the news. You go to the news and say, yeah, he gave me venereal disease. Now somebody want to sue the damn Channel 6 News. But that's their job, is to report the news. This is deep. And I'm telling you, if I had never heard about her mother being murdered, her conspiracy and her getting the 8.5 years, I still would have a problem with Gypsy Rose talking to social media about the sex. I would have a problem with that because I don't like that kind of talk from women. It's ugly and it's just unattractive. Okay, it's unattractive. And like I said, you can say negative things about people, and somebody can say the same. Well, I don't like what you said about this, and this. It doesn't matter really what it is, because everybody's entitled to his or her opinion. But no grown woman should be on social media talking about the D is 5. How can you say the D is 5 when you allegedly ain't slept with 2 men? You ain't slept with your co-conspirator. And then this guy here. You on social media acting like you done slept with enough men so you can give an opinion to say, well, he really got it going on. That makes no sense to me. Well, you've been locked up for 8.5 years, so who you been having sex with? See, this is what I'm saying, why this is ignorant behavior. Somebody needs to be talking to Gypsy Rose, Christine, the stepmother. If you are listening to this live stream, please talk to your stepdaughter and tell her, please, baby, stop talking. Whatever's going on between you and Ryan, that is your personal business. You do not need to post about it. You do not need to make live streams about it. You do not need to tell us everything that you're doing and not doing, because everybody knows that how you start is not how you finish. If you start out already complaining about social media and you're in the belly of the beast, there's something wrong. Because now it's hypocritical. You can't go to social media and talk about stuff and then get mad about the responses that you get. That's number one. Number two, you don't put all your personal business on YouTube channels and social media platforms. It's not a good idea. I don't recommend it. And sometimes it's best to move in silence. You want to post a picture of you all in New York, Times Square? Cool. But you don't need to keep talking. Keep your sexual business to yourself. Because what's going to happen is, as soon as you get mad at him, he gets mad at you, you're going to go run right to TikTok and start talking bad about Ryan. And then Ryan's going to have a problem with that. And then two, he's a school teacher. So this is why you need to stop talking. He works with children. Hazel says abused people don't have boundaries. Well, Hazel, some people do have boundaries that have been abused. Because I'm sure many of us have stories to tell of abuse. So I'm not going to say that all abused people don't have boundaries. We can just say so far she doesn't have boundaries. She doesn't know how to be quiet, but that's expected because of her background. She's been held hostage, captive, had to sneak around for 15, 16 years. Then she meets somebody. She's sneaking around talking to him. She's acting out, shooting the mother, this and that, allegedly. And then a murder happens. And then she gets 8.5 years in prison. And now she can't wait to talk, because you got to remember, she never had a voice. So that is one thing that is expected with abuse victims, is that they will start to talk out of turn and start revealing things that's nefarious. And then they'll start telling stuff that really they shouldn't be repeating, that they should possibly keep to themselves. Now, some people will say, let her talk, because I've had commenters say on my channel, let her talk, she can say what she wants. Well, we've learned, no, you can't say everything you want, because you can get flagged for saying certain things. Facebook will flag you, YouTube will flag you. So no, that's not true. You can't say whatever you want. And we now see with social media, people will sue you for the things that you say. So there is a baggage comes with talking. Rottweiler, I don't know, because that was mentioned in this commentary that she did counseling because he got mad. And let's talk about that before I check out of here. I'm almost 2 hours in. Feel free. Some of you still want to talk about somewhere else. That's at the beginning of this live stream. The fact that he was upset about another boyfriend. Well, come on, Angela, bring it to him, because they ain't ready. How would Ryan know who she's been talking to unless she told it. Say it again, Queen. How would he know who she has been talking to? He's not in prison. He doesn't get the mail in prison. He only knows what she's told him. So are we talking about now she was manipulating Ryan in the prison? Oh, I can make him jealous. I'll tell him that Pookie Ray Ray's been writing me and da-da-da-da-da. This is why I keep telling you to always pay attention to the information. Why is anybody arguing with her about another man locked up? Because you would not know who's calling her, talking to her, unless she told it. 2, that person reached out to you via Messenger, an app to say, hey, I've been talking to Gypsy Rose. I want you to stay away from her. That still means there's knowledge. So if you've got this playing out in a prison years ago, you can't really expect there not to be a jump off out here in the streets and she's free. I'm just saying, because old habits die hard. PJ says she can't shut her mouth. The sweet voice will manipulate many, possibly so. And that's the sad part of this story. It's to assume the worst of her already. But it's obvious she has mental problems because she's already complaining about people talking about Ryan. She was depressed or down on New Year's Eve. That's just over a week ago. And she should have been happy New Year's Eve. You're free. You're free. You're free. You can walk the earth, navigate, eat what you want, do what you want. Why are you down? You're mad because of what people are saying on social media. So don't entertain it then. As I said during that live stream pertaining to the situation, you can't be in the belly of the beast and get mad at what you're smelling in the stomach of the beast. Stay woke. You don't want to be a part of social media? Then get off of it. You don't like what you're seeing on YouTube. You don't like the comments. You don't like the videos. You don't like Facebook. You don't like IG. Get off. Just get off. See, I'm always leery of anybody that complains about this BS up here because there's lots of things I don't like about YouTube, Facebook, but I know where to put my blueprint and my footprint. I looked at a lot of stuff today that just had my hair standing on top of my damn head. And it's from people's Facebook posts. But what I have to tell myself is I don't have to engage. I could go in the comment section, but I know it will bring heat. Then they'll respond. Then they'll be trying to find me and get in the messenger. So if I don't want to be involved in that, then I don't respond. And that's what this young lady is going to have to learn. There will be repercussions from telling your business and talking and giving your comment. Because what I have to tell myself, if you're already upset 2 weeks into the new year and from being released from prison about what people are saying about Ryan, possibly what they're saying about you, you're going to be upset about a whole lot of other stuff in life, not just Facebook posts and IG posts and TikTok posts. Number one, you're going to get upset at stuff that he's going to say to you that you don't like. You're going to get upset at stuff your family may say. The butcher, the baker, the girl at Starbucks. See where I'm going? What you going to do? Go run to Facebook, put her on blast, follow her around with a camera. See how far is this going to go? Go run to the news station and tell them what bad happened today in La La Land. She is not ready for out here. Because she still has the mind of a child. She is an abuse victim. She's been groomed to lie, manipulate. She doesn't have any navigating skills. She doesn't have any social skills. Yes, she knows how to talk, but that's not going to be enough to make it out here. And this young man, I'm leery of him as well because I have to ask myself, what was his motivation for reaching out to her? You felt sorry for her. So what? I feel sorry for a lot of people. I don't reach out to them. I don't write them in prison. Sometimes you got to stay in your lane. So I think he's also childlike in nature. And to me, that's a dangerous combination for two adults because he's been free. she has not. What will happen to these two people, their union? What will transpire later down the road for these two? I do not wish her any harm, Mr. Ryan. But right now, what I have seen thus far does not look good. And it is not to say that they cannot grow and learn from these experiences, change their behavior and their responses. Of course, they can. But they have to make an effort. And that's how you navigate in life. You assess the situation and you make attempts to make the situation better. And sadly, sometimes people never learn to do better. Because you hear that old adage or the new adage from Facebook, because I get sick of hearing this. If you know better, you do better. That's not true. There are a lot of people that know better. They don't want to do better. So that's not true. If you know better, you'll do better. At some point in life, you know right from wrong. You know you shouldn't be doing and saying certain things, but you do it anyway. It's a choice. But then the flip side of that is, well, they didn't learn anything. They were mistreated. They did this. Their mom and daddy treated them like this. They didn't know how to do certain things. But there comes a point in life when you have seen better. You have seen what the world can be that is good in nature. You've seen manicured lawns, the pretty houses, the nice cars, the well-dressed people. You've heard of God, Allah. See where I'm going with this? You've heard something. And with her case, we know this is true because she reached out to a guy on a date site. So it's not like she's illiterate and she's considered dumb. She knew how to go into a drug cabinet and steal her mom's meds and become addicted to drugs, allegedly. She knew how to go on to social media and find a guy to date in court. She knew how to lie to her mother and sneak out and meet a guy and then go into a movie theater to have sex. So she learned, because she learned from the best, to manipulate, to con. And that's expected. And you can't judge a child for that. But she is now a whole adult. She's free from that trauma of yesteryear. And so whatever happens to Gypsy Rose and Mr. Ryan, it will be on them. And I pray that her family will still try to guide her, to tell her, you know, we get it, you're free, you're grown, but you need to be very careful how you navigate out here, how you talk, how you speak to people, how you respond to people, what you reveal to people, because it can be used against you and backfire. And Mr. Ryan has not considered any of these things, because had he considered these things, he would have never chose her as somebody to talk to and then date and then marry. And that is my personal opinion. I do feel like there are other people he could have dated and married, but it's neither here nor there. Now, the flip side of that notion is that, well, she was going to get out here and date somebody, whether it was the butcher, the baker, the garbage maker. But the point is, he works with children. And what we learn about people who work with children, everything they do and say is going to be critiqued. Most people are really not going to care about what the garbage man is doing once he checks out of emptying the trash. Just keeping it real. Nobody even have to know you're dating the trash guy. The guy that works at Starbucks or McDonald's, or hell, maybe even an engineer or a doctor. But once you put yourself out there, oh, hey, yeah, I've been visiting her. Oh, yeah, I'm in the documentary. You've put yourself out on Front Street. So now you are part of the storyline. Rob Roller says, could he just be riding her coattail, money, fame? Yes, reindeer games. Well, that was mentioned during this Law and Crime episode. You don't know who is zooming who, who's doing whom. Could this be a double threat? Gypsy just found somebody to help aid her because she knew she was going to be getting out of prison soon. He rode the ride to He's wanting attention. He's lonely. He's not happy with himself. He's insecure. He's never dated. So you have to ask all those questions. And although it's none of our business, of course, but it is breaking news and it's a news story. So here we are. So are we talking about a lonely man, Mr. Ryan? He's never dated, never had a girlfriend, never had a lot of sexual experiences. See, people are going to wonder. He's a heavyset guy. It's not to say that big people don't have sex. Let me make that clear. But people are going to wonder, why her? Why you choose her? Why you dating her? Why you give her your mother's engagement ring? Why are you in this storyline, sir? Are you grifting? Are you on the take? Are you wanting attention? Was this your way to get acknowledgement from a ho-hum life? Checkmate. We will see. Summer Wells. No more reward fund, as I brought to you all earlier in this live stream. No mention of a reward ever. Why hasn't anybody decided to bring forward a reward fund? Maybe it's because they realize she is not even alive. But that still has nothing to do with information. But as I said before at the beginning of this live stream pertaining to Summer Well, you should want to give information pertaining to a child, whether there's money offered or not. Same thing with an adult. If you have empathy inside of you, you are a caring individual. Hey, I know something, I saw something, and not expect money in return. But we do have people, as we say, that's on the take, on the grift, on the hustle. Another sad tale of a child missing. And so much foolishness and devilment. But as I said, I see this often with true crime cases and children. He said, she said, lies, manipulation, connery, grifting, hustle. This is to be expected. People did get their money back, Rottweiler. That's not true. I have a source. 2 entities got their money back because everybody has their own stipulations with donating money. So 2 entities did get their money back. The rest of the money went to that advocacy center. But the point I made at the beginning of this live stream is that some may have wanted the money to be there just for her. But then the flip side of that would be, well, what do you care if the money went to the advocacy? Because there's always a timeline with a reward fund. There's stipulations. And they explain it all to you when you are donating money. But I do believe meddling from the UK came into existence, which got this BS started also with the reward fund being dismantled. Like I said, there was a timeline with the reward fund initially. Because naturally, they have a criteria with donating money. And then the people who donate, there's a stipulation of how long it's going to take to get information, blah, blah, blah. You can take the money back or however it goes, there's stipulations. But I do believe meddling got the jump off of how all this ended up going to court. It's a very sad situation, and it's disturbing because the child is still missing. We don't have any updates from law enforcement, and there are no funds for Summer Wells. And I don't see any funds ever being exacted because people don't want to go back into the belly of the beast and donate money and worrying about the money and if it'll be, something else will jump off and the money will have to go somewhere else because no new information about the kid. It's a sad and pathetic situation. And this is why I know something diabolical was done to the girl child for this very reason. Another reason. You go from all these rumors, foolishness from the bio donors, foolishness from other people involving themselves, wanting a taste of the story, wanting a clout chase, get attention, get money, get funds, make up stuff in, YouTube videos, social media, and then a whole separate entity such as the reward fund, it gets dismantled. So what you have to do is look at the bigger picture. Why are all these things happening and a child is missing? What is going on? Because it should tell you the obvious. that something sinister was done to the child. So if you have people who are supposed to be caring for a child would exact harm against her and then cover up her death, why would you expect appropriate behavior from random strangers? Okay? Why would you expect behavior from strangers to be better than the parents if we're to believe they are complicit to her disappearance, death? You wouldn't. And that's what I always tell myself, the analogy of Summer Wells, the case. She was left, gone, whatever, however you want to word it, nefarious deeds. People jumped on the story, crazy, loco, like the parents. That's expected. Reward fund dismantled for whatever reason, because there are people out here no different than the people who raised the child. And that's my analogy. Same thing with the West case. You expect buffoonery because there was buffoonery in the children's lives that got them from parents' house to foster care to death. Camille McKinney, same thing. Jacked up parents, jacked up situation, neglect. Two people take the child, dope her up, rape her, dump her in a dumpster. All the cases are eerily similar. And the one thing I've seen with Camille McKinney out of Birmingham, Alabama, the West boys out of Bakersfield and Cal City, California, Summer Wells, Rogersville, Tennessee, they all came from jacked up parents, troubled parents, allegations of abuse, neglect, drug uses, drug selling, alcoholism, CPS reports, neglect, so on and so forth. All children gone. Poof, voila. Then here comes the clout chasers jumping in on the story, wanting attention. I saw this. I saw the baby. He had her wrapped in a sheet. This and that. Oh, she's over here. She's over there. Oh, they over here. They over there. Don't you get it? It's a hustle within a hustle. Hustling parents, neglectful parents, hustling bystanders. It's all the same. One thing begets another. Here's a chance for me to make some money off this story. Here's a chance for me to put myself in here, befriend the parents, act like I care, act like I'm concerned. I just want to make content. It's all the same. And we've seen it. Everybody acting like they care about the kid, but they don't. The parents don't care. The relatives don't care. The neighbors don't care. Then here comes the outsiders pretending they care. And then you learn them after you start watching the content and their speeches and they're, acting like they're standing in the pulpit. They don't care. Because that's the whole point of the story. Nobody ever cared. Thank you, Pirate. Nobody ever cared. That's why it's so easy for the outsiders to come in and grift and con and make up wild stories. I heard a scream. I saw the baby sitting over here. I saw the baby on the monkey bars. Yeah, the mother was an addict. The daddy's an addict. The daddy he's a thief. Oh, the daddy robbed the armored truck. See, it's just story after story after story without a damn receipt. It ain't to say that the parents are innocent. It's just saying you still have to have a receipt and bring forward the information to prove the allegation. And even with the McKinney case down in Alabama, I believe the chief, as nice as he appeared in his press conference, you allowed the mother to get a pass for child neglect. Because I do believe she was never in that housing development when the little girl got kidnapped. And people told the story that the little girl was out there running back and forth, trying to use the bathroom, peeing on herself, coming back outside with her clothes changed to end up being kidnapped. That lets you know somebody wasn't watching her and the other little toddlers. The other kids could have been just as easily kidnapped by the two suspects. Do you all see where I'm going here? Even the law enforcement plays a role. You didn't want to charge the mother because you saw how heinous the crime was against the baby. Oh, they doped her up, they raped her. Well, we ain't gonna charge the mama because it's a bad situation. I don't care. Because maybe had that heifer watched her baby, she wouldn't be dead right now. Same thing with the West. If the mother had gave a fuck about her kids and the baby daddies had cared about them boys, we wouldn't have two babies out here in La La Land. And they would have never made it to the West House. Summer Wells, same thing. Had somebody cared enough about the children, maybe all of the kids would be together. But now we have one missing and 3 in foster care. This is the point I'm making. People have eyes and they see things and they turn a blind eye and then they wait until the last minute to go cry wolf. Oh, I saw this. Oh, I heard this. Maybe too late. Police, give these people a pass. CPS, give them a pass. Then there's, a missing kid. And you hear this a lot with CPS cases, that a lot of the missing children, their parents were investigated for child neglect, child abuse. Imagine that. How horrible is that to find out a missing child, there was an open case or a closed case? It's all the same to me. Make it make sense. So if you see or hear of child abuse, you see a child sitting outside, has used the bathroom on himself. He doesn't have on clean clothes. His hair ain't combed. He's got a runny nose, snotty nose. He's been outside from light to dark. He's asking you for food. He's hungry. He's thirsty. Do not call CPS. Call the police. Yes, Amanda, the ego is deadly. I will agree. Don't call CPS. You want to put a stop to all this child neglect, people letting the children play outside and don't check on them and leave them alone in the house. You know somebody got their child in the house alone. They out at the club, popping it like it's hot and dropping it like it's hot. Call the damn police. Don't call CPS. Don't waste the time of paperwork shuffling. Call the law. Yeah, the kids in there by themselves. They've been in there 2 hours. Hang up the phone. You see the children running around outside all damn day. They ain't took no bath. Their hair ain't combed. They're urinating outside, defecating outside. Call the damn police. That'll stop all of this shuffling of paperwork. And naturally, some of you may have seen children severely abused, severely neglected. You've been in the house of a nasty house. If you even have to fudge a little bit of information to law enforcement, just call them anyway and say, well, the children are in dire situation and they're home alone. That is the best way to get a CPS investigation. No more CPS calls, no more going through the portal, no more going online. Bypass all that. Call the police, because the police are the ones who will eventually call CPS. Call the law. Because once children are unattended, the police has every right to go to the child and say, where are you? Where do you live? Do you live here? Show me where you live. And then the rest will come about. Because it's then he has a right to knock on the door, stay woke everybody, to where the child lives. And then he or she can assess the situation from there. And that will probably lead to them seeing 9 times out of 10, 10 out of 10, how the child is living in the house with the mother. Oh, it's dark in here. No lights, no food. Roaches, debris, animal abuse, so on and so forth. You see where I'm going? Call the police. And they'll stop all this nonsense. And I'm not promoting fabricating any information to law enforcement, but when you have seen dire situations in the house and also seen the children out about and not having any responsible adults, you have every right to call the police to say, I have noticed this child being outside often, unattended, urinating outside, unclean, hungry, and I do believe they live in a filthy situation. I've heard, I've seen, and then the police will then investigate from there. I think that's the best recourse for dealing with child neglect. It's just call the police. The children are our future. And they deserve attention and they deserve respect because they didn't ask to come here and they didn't ask to choose their parents. Just like you didn't choose your mother and father, I didn't choose mine. But it's time for the abuse to stop. And this case with Summer Wells is a prime example of abuse, neglect, and all the meddling from outsiders who don't know shit from Shinola. Wanting attention, but in the end, you have done nothing productive to help this case. And I pray that there will be justice in this case, that all culprits, co-conspirators involved in the disappearance of Summer Wells will be brought to justice, will stand account in a court of law. And as I said, no updates, no new information, no reward fund for her. But I pray for the truth. Please go back to the beginning of this live stream where I expressed my commentary pertaining to talking about true crime, talking about people getting upset about you talking about true crime and bringing forward information and the enablers of people involved in true crime. And as I said at the beginning of this live stream, I bring to you a source pertaining to true crime commentary. You either believe it or you don't, because in the end, everything is about a version from the people involved in the story to law enforcement. In the end, law enforcement's job is to investigate a case. And then if there is nefarious deeds, they take it before the district attorney, and then the district attorney decides if he or she wants to prosecute. That has nothing to do with the Vault Excel. And when you speak of a person being a good person, make sure you speak of them in the present tense and not when they were a child. I'm going to continue to talk about what I want on this network, and I will try to do my best to not be so overt in my description of the people involved, as so I can keep my YouTube channel. But I am still queen, and I still reign supreme up here. My opinion. I was disgusted earlier. And I don't have to go into the details. You'll figure it out. But the point is, it's obvious that you can't say everything you want to say and how you want to say it. Some may deem it inappropriate. But in the end, I'm not investigated for a missing child. I'm not investigated for the murder of anybody in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'm not on trial for a missing child nor a murdered woman in Knoxville. Let me make that clear. So as I've said to many of you, you have a problem with the content on this network. My advice to you is to go to the source, which would be the news, because that's where I get all of my information, or Facebook. That is content that belongs to somebody else, not Queen. I bring you there opinion. What they said does not mean I agree with it or disagree with it. But I always bring a source if it is a news video, clip, audio. And if you don't like the fact that your child or boyfriend, cousin, Ray, whoever side piece is being arrested for murdering somebody, then I say you go to the fucking jail and you have a chit chat with your relative about why the fuck the police decided to arrest him. That doesn't have a damn thing to do with me. Hell yeah, I'm in my feelings today. Because I tell myself, stop responding to these stupid ass people because that's what the hell they want. You're speaking from a person that was a kid. He was a good kid. Well, allegedly, the police said he killed somebody. Oh, let me be more descriptive. She was stabbed to death. Ding. What does that have to do with me? I didn't stab her. I don't even know her. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all don't know him. Maybe you don't know your whoever he is to you. I believe you're the mother. You don't want none of Queen, baby. Please don't rock this boat. Do not rock this boat. I made it clear during that live stream that what the white boy had to say about him was his account of his childhood being bullied by Mr. DePriest. Please go to that YouTube video to check out the information so you can understand what I'm saying during this live stream. I have nothing to do with this man's opinion of this black man bullying him. I wasn't there. I don't know what's truth or not, and I made that clear during that live, number one. Number two, the source of the woman being deceased is from a news information. You have a problem with the content, I say you take it up with the news agent. And point number three, who he was as a child is not who he is today. Checkmate. And I find it interesting that you would speak of him in the past. He was a good kid. Well, he ain't a kid no more. He's a 26-year-old who's been accused of murdering a 39-year-old black woman. So once again, if you have a problem, you need to take it up with the detectives and the state's attorney's office in Knoxville, Tennessee, not me. That's my commentary, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for those who share my content. Thank you, Mr. AB. God bless all of you. Prayers for Summer Wells. Justice for her and her brothers. Justice for this Miss Andrea Moore. I will bring you an update pertaining to this story. The culprit, Mr. Reginald DePriest, went to court today. I will bring you that information and let the chips fall where they may. You have a problem with anything that is said during my commentary, you can log out. Take it up with the news entity. Take it up with the information about the person who brought it. I'm just repeating it. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ began you. 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Will, Gypsy, Rose, and Ryan fare out here together in their new union? Will she continue to stay on social media posting? Will it be to her detriment to continue posting to social media? We will dissect this information at a later date. We will talk about the documentary at a later date. Drop your comments below this video. Post to my community board. Thank you for joining me. And if you think there should be another reward fund for Summer Wells, take the poll on my community page. I will post that poll after this live stream. Thank you all so much for the love. I appreciate it. God bless all of you. Happy New Year. Stay warm. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Amen. You've been listening to The Vault XL. Big Sexy 71 on IG, sweetheart. That's where you can find me. Thank you.